What's up, everybody? This is Jake Moffitt. Welcome to the Devil Tried Limited podcast series.
And the serpent couldn't win a damn battle if he tried. Lord, he tried, but he can't bring me down, not in this life. Yeah, the devil thought he won this war, but he lost this time.
All right, so we are to episode 5, which is the first episode that's centered around my country career and me starting that and me departing from my rap career as JX2000. If you want to hear that story, go back through episodes 2 through 4 and they'll explain the intricacies and details of all that. But here we are as Jake Moffitt, or starting this story actually still under the band name PB&J, starting my country career. Let's backtrack into late 2022 before I actually get into the 2023 storyline of Sticks, Stones, and Sad Love Songs, which is the country album I put out, what this episode is named. So back in late 2022, I was getting out of college in May of 2022. Got my first job at an engineering firm in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Was, building my professional career. And at the time, I wasn't dating anybody. I was dating a girl previously that year, and that didn't work out. I explained that a little bit in the last episode and how that inspired me to write some of these country songs that will end up on this album. But I actually reconnected with a friend from college. We met through a Bible study that was for Greek organizations at Arkansas Tech University. And we were just friends then. But my birthday comes along that year, September 1st, 2022. And I can't remember how the messaging went. Like, did she message me or did I message her? I'm not sure, but actually, let me just call her and ask her real quick.
Hello.
Hey, can you remind me how we started talking the first time?
What?
Was it my birthday and you said happy birthday or something like that, or?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. I needed to know for the podcast. Thank you.
I mean, do you want the receipts too?
No, we're good. But it was my birthday that you texted me or messaged me and I responded back, right? Okay, this clip is going on the podcast. Thank you. Love you. So that's how we reconnected from our college days. And to speed through this story, we went on a couple dates. Things didn't work out that time. And when I say that time, she is my fiance now. So there's obviously a second round of dating that went on here. But things didn't work out. This was late 2022. And that was all the fuel I needed to finish this album, Sticks, Stones, and Sad Love Songs. Honestly, I was just really fired up to write. I wrote a song or two about her. I had songs written previously of, heartbreaks that were in my life. So I was like, this is perfect. Let's put out this album. And I didn't really know how I was going to record it or build it as far as instrumentally. How was I going to record this at my house? Or was I going to get an actual studio to go to? Or I didn't know what I was going to do. So all in all, 2023 starts and I really start taking this album seriously. I start laying acoustic guitar down. I start laying vocals down. And as I got into this album recording process, I realized I think I want it to be an acoustic album, but I want it to have some cool little aspects of electric guitar or, some element of mixing where it's not just an acoustic live type setting, but it has some mixing to it. It has some echoes, some reverbs, things like that. So that was the inspiration for this album musically, was acoustic album, but electric influences, mixing influences. Also, because it was under the band name PB&J, I needed to get Parker Benton of PB&J to be involved with this. So I asked him to record some electric guitar for me. He did that on a few of these songs. I think 4 or 5 had him playing electric guitar. But I say let's just get into this track list of Sticks, Stones, and Sad Love Songs, and I'll explain deeper more in detail how each song came about. This episode's going to be significantly shorter than the other ones just because there's not as much content to go through with the country side of things as there was with the hip-hop side of things. So let's jump into this track list. Sticks, Stones, and Sad Love Songs was released on September 1st of 2023, but I'm going to focus more on the creation of these songs, which started in like late 2022 to early 2023. And then this album went through many levels of mixing and, mastering to get it to sound how I wanted to sound to put out. But another small piece of information, or really a big piece of information about this album, is I had a theme very early on, not just heartbreak and sad love songs and things like that, but also I wanted to paint a theme of what I was dealing with in my actual real life. And that was dealing with these heartbreaks and emotions through anything but God. God was always a part of my life and is a part of my life. But at this time, I was leaning on, partying, alcohol, hanging out with friends, being active in the party scene, and knowing that wasn't solving my problems the right way, but that's how I was dealing with it, and I was really blinded at this time. And that's what this album carried out and showed from Jake Moffatt. It wasn't the most healthy or faith-based thing, but it was true, and it was what I was dealing with. And I always told myself, no matter what type of music I'm making, I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm going to be honest about what I'm doing in my real life through my music. So that's a quick theme building piece of information that I figured I'd throw in here before we got into the track breakdown. Track 1 on the album is Wasted 1, like Roman numeral 1. This was a song that came later in the process, but not even later. It was just not one of the first songs written. Wasted 1 was, like all of my intros on my previous albums, a suspenseful build-up to what the album was going to flourish into. It was really simple at the start of the song. It's just kind of a power chord, punchy rhythm on the guitar with me writing the main melody of the song, the wasted, ran out of peace in my mind. Just a real simple melody, nothing crazy. Then it goes on into the second chorus where it has built up a little bit, and then into the second verse where it's going back to the punchy rhythm side of things, just me sitting there spitting about this relationship that the song was about. Another nugget to add in here that goes back to the original theme of the album that I mentioned. There are a lot of alcohol references in this song, Wasted being the main one, the title of the track. Alcohol was, from the start of the album, being put as the focal point of how I was dealing with these problems and these emotional issues, and that set the tone for the rest of the album. So it was a cool intro to the album. I thought it was not giving the people listening to it a full serving of what was to come on this album, but more of an appetizer to what was happening here. We can transition that into track 2, which is Down to the River, in parentheses, Find Me. I mentioned this song in previous episodes. I believe it was the last episode, where this is one of the songs that me and Parker Benton of PB&J played to the Tech's Got Talent audience at Arkansas Tech University. This song was written probably 2021. It was a really early one that I saved for this album. At the time that I wrote it, I didn't know it was going on an album, but Down to the River, Find Me is a weird key. It's in the key of F, and I just wanted to make a wacky song that was like, had that country vibe of river, washing my sins away, still had some faith aspects to it, but also was painting a picture of me trying to deal with that on my own, which is not the right way to do it, but that's this album to a T. So let's transition that into this next song called Wintertime, track 3. I wrote this song with Terry McDonald, one of my buddies from college that I've mentioned before. He wrote this with me in 2021, around the time that I wrote Down to the River and Free. But Wintertime was not written in a personal situation type of perspective. It was written more as a general country romantic heartbreak song. I thought it was important to have songs like that I wrote early on, just because not every song has to be tailored towards Jacob Moffat's emotional situations. You know what I mean? So I was thinking Wintertime is a good song to put on this album because it's very general. A lot of people could relate to it. Yeah, that's Wintertime. Not much to be said there, but me and Terry made a banger with this one, so that's awesome. Let's move on to track 4 that I've already discussed. It's called Free, but this is the acoustic version. Free was the song that I wrote in 2021 with Parker Benton, and we performed for Tech's Got Talent. But on this album, since I was doing acoustic songs mainly, I wanted to do an acoustic rendition of this song with just me on it and break it down to its core. So that's what Free Acoustic was. Let's move on to track 5, Wait on Me / Wasted 2. For the record, I loved doing these slash type songs that had 2 songs in one, just because it gave you a second opportunity to tell more of the story or a different side of the story. So that's why there's a this/this type song on this album. It was something I frequently did in my rap career, and I brought that over to my country side of things. But Wait on Me was written about a previous relationship before Macy, and it was basically saying, wait on me. It was more of a long distance type song, like, wait on me. We'll make it there. We'll get there. And of course we didn't get there, and that's why this song was created. So Wait on Me, super, Chris Stapleton type vibe of a track. Wasted 2 was more like a Wintertime or more like other songs later in this album. Definitely more detailed and more pain was shown on the Wasted 2 side of the track. Wait on Me was almost a hopeful, we can get there one day type of vibe. And then Wasted 2 was definitely a, this is all wasted, it's for nothing, that kind of vibe. So Wasted 2 was a continuation from Wasted 1, but not musically, not instrumentally. It was more like a Wintertime. It was more like a sad, somber type of feeling. Let's transition that into track 6, Las Vegas. A lot of story to tell with this song. Las Vegas was written on my senior trip for graduating college, and I wrote it in Las Vegas. I was at a slot machine. I'd had a lot to drink. I was bored. I was tired of gambling, which I love to gamble in the sense that it's fun and it's a good way to have some entertainment. I'm not a gambling addict by any means, but that's something that me and my family enjoy doing together. So I was sitting there at the slot machine. I have this idea in my head pop up, and it's like, now I'm stuck in Las Vegas. Lost my money and I done lost my mind. So I went up to the hotel room and I started writing lyrics with not much melody in mind. I had that small melody snippet in my head, if you want to call it that. But I didn't have much more direction for the song. Then when I left Las Vegas and went back home and got back to working at my job, I built this song out on a road trip where I was driving, and it just came to me all at once. And I started humming into audio recordings on my phone, started typing out lyrics. This song formulated itself really quickly in the late months of 2022. Las Vegas is super special in the sense that it built the path for other songs, the ones that actually are coming up next. It was in the key of G, super simple. I wanted a lot of these songs to be super simple because they're acoustic, because they're, my goodness, you gotta love living close to a military compound. But anyway, Las Vegas built the path for other songs on the album and gave me a lot of inspiration. That's one thing I can say about a lot of the songs on this project is one by one they built each other. Gotta love that. Let's just... All right, I think we're done with World War III in the River Valley of Arkansas, but let's continue on. Like I said, these songs built each other. Not going to go too far into detail with that. Each song just led the path for another to be written. Let's move on to track 7, Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters was one of those that Las Vegas inspired. I wanted the next 2 tracks after Las Vegas to be in the same key so that the songs could be sort of a continuation in part 2 and 3 of each other. So Muddy Waters was written. It's more of a somber, sad, low down type of vibe. The lyrics were super painful and descriptive, and on this album I used cuss words where I felt they were necessary. I know that didn't go with like my faith-based lifestyle, but at the time my lifestyle wasn't so faith-based as far as my actions went, so I really wanted to be truthful and honest and genuine on this album. And this song had like some lyrics where I was like, don't shit suck when you're down in your luck, and don't shit suck when you're in the mud. So like it was definitely a very descriptive and heartbreak heavy, anger inducing song for me, but that was true to my emotions at the time. Then the song after Muddy Waters, track 8, would be a cover of a song that meant a lot to me in this time. It meant a lot for me getting back into making country music. It was a cover of Good Lord Laurie by Turnpike Troubadours. I love the Turnpike Troubadours. That's my favorite band of all time. I really relate with their discography and their way of making music and making songs. So I decided to make this the 3rd track in that 3-track run I was talking about with Las Vegas, Muddy Waters, and now Good Lord Laurie, the cover. Good Lord Laurie, Something in the Orange, and Headin' South by Zach Bryan were 3 songs that were super influential to me. So Good Lord Laurie showing up on this track list isn't that crazy. I knew it was going to happen pretty early on into building the track list of this album. That's track 8. I'm not going to tell the story of Good Lord Laurie because that's Turnpike Troubadour's song. But let's move on to track 9, which would be Crazy, in parentheses, Let Me Know. This song was about Macy. It was about the first time we dated and, how I was crazy about her, but she was crazy. And just go listen to the song. I detail it out pretty well how I felt at the time, but Crazy Let Me Know was the best song off this album. It had the most hit potential. As soon as I wrote it, I was like, oh, this is going on the project for sure. And I'll say this, I played this for Macy the first time that we dated because I wrote it around that time. That's a risky thing to do when you're trying to date somebody. We weren't technically girlfriend and boyfriend or anything like that yet, but I was like, let me play this for you. I wrote this about you. Again, a really risky simp type thing to do, but I did that. She really liked it. We stopped talking or dating or whatever you want to call it. She went on to date somebody else. And following writing this song, I had a little moment of humility or an epiphany where I was like, if I'm going to write a song about somebody else being crazy, like, I must be crazy. Let me tell all the reasons that I'm crazy. And that's where the next track, track 10, Crazy, in parentheses, For Now, came from. That song was about me and every way that I was crazy and every way that, I needed to work on myself. These 2 songs were both in the key of G. They were both the same type of vibe. It was more of a southern rock, but acoustic feeling. That makes the last 5 songs on this album in the key of G. Las Vegas, Muddy Waters, Good Lord Laurie, Crazy, Let Me Know, and Crazy for Now. So the second half of this album was almost one song. It was one feeling. It was one continuous, consecutive story. That was the album in its entirety. It rounded out to be 10 songs. And then I said, well, I still had the free song that we released under PB&J before, so why wouldn't I put that on the album and give it a little bit more life? So I actually mastered it because before it wasn't really mastered. I didn't know how to master when I did free, but I remastered that song for the album. It was track 11, and that's Sticks, Stones, and Sad Love Songs and how that album was created. So to round out the track list, you had Wasted 1, Down to the River, Find Me, Wintertime, Free, Wait on Me / Wasted 2, Las Vegas, Muddy Waters, Good Lord Lori, in parentheses, cover, Crazy, in parentheses, Let Me Know, Crazy, in parentheses, For Now, and then you had the remastered version of Free with all the instruments on it. So that album was super special to me. Looking back on it, it's not mixed very well. It's not necessarily the best sounding album sonically, but it was all emotion. It was all story. It was all passion, all pain. And I definitely conveyed that throughout the whole track list. So let's move on to further into 2023. Of course, I talked about creating this album in late 2022, early 2023, but I didn't explain why this album didn't release until my birthday, September 1st of that year. I recorded the album. First I wrote it, and then I recorded the guitar, and then I recorded the vocals. I did that probably 2 or 3 times over before I was happy with it. And then I mixed it myself and wanted it mastered by somebody else. So I went on that Fiverr app that I talked about, and I found somebody who could master my album, but they wanted to mix it as well. So I was like, give it a shot. They tried. They honestly did a really good job. I still wasn't the most happy with it, but I ended up mastering the album myself on Lander, which is like an AI mastering software that actually went really well. And finally, you get to July, August of 2023, and I'm ready to release this album. But if you go back to the rap story and the hip-hop journey of JX2000, it was also finishing and closing down around this time. So June of 2023, In Conclusion, ... releases. And I had a plan for the next hip-hop album to finish off that sentence, which was Just Don't Forget About Me. It was going to release on my birthday, September 1st, 2023. So to wrap that back around to this country project I was working on, it was supposed to release also on my birthday, 2023. I thought that would be really cool to end off my rap career and start my country career on the same day. So that's what happened. I released Just Don't Forget About Me and Stick Stones and Sad Love Songs on September 1st of 2023. That was a whole new turn in my career or my music journey. And that set the stage for everything to come in further episodes. But even as we finish out this episode, I want to talk about what happened in my life between creating Stick Stones and Sad Love Songs and releasing Stick Stones and Sad Love Songs. Between those two time periods, I started performing at local venues, not really that many local venues, but I got out and I performed some of these songs live. I performed covers live, was really trying to get in that artist circuit of performing at bars and restaurants and events and things like that. That didn't necessarily work out or get me any recognition or playing in any places, but it gave me a new perspective on I definitely want to do country seriously after my rap career and my hip-hop careers closed down. So that gave me a new view on what I wanted to do. Also around this time, I wasn't dating anybody. I was really playing the field. I was like going on casual dates here and there with people that my mom set me up with or people that my friends set me up with. And one thing that I can summarize this whole time period as far as my dating life went is, but she's not her. Macy was dating somebody else. When we stopped talking, I didn't really want to do anything serious. I left that portion of my life in the past. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to date. And then when I went on some casual dates, I was like, oh, okay, I can actually like casually date now because there's no serious situation going on. But they weren't her and they weren't who I wanted in my life. So I was like, I guess I'll wait. And wait, I did. In July of 2023, I wrote this song called Let 'Em Burn. And it was basically saying, I'm going to take all these Stick Stones and Sad Love songs, put them in the fire and let them burn, because I was trying to turn over a new leaf in my life, not deal with my problems with alcohol, not deal with my problems with partying and things like that. It was about, I'm going to put these problems in the past, and one lyric I said in there was, until you come to terms with love and what you want from it in return, I'm going to put these stick stones and sad love songs in the fire and let them burn. Honestly, bars. But this was me telling Macy that I was going to wait on her, and I didn't release the song so she couldn't hear it. But it was a personal message to myself that I'm just going to wait on what I know is there and what I know God wants me to have. And I believe that was her. And then on September 1st, 2023, when I released Stick Stones and Sad Love Songs, she congratulated me on the album. She messaged me on something. I'm sure she could tell that story too. But she had just cut off her relationship with her previous boyfriend. And this was what I knew God was having me wait on. So we start talking again. Stick Stones and Sad Love Songs is out. She's able to hear the full story that I was trying to convey at that time. We started hanging out a little bit, growing back into a talking relationship with each other. And in October of 2023, we started dating, like actual girlfriend-boyfriend type status of dating. That brought on its own set of barriers and walls to break through between us, considering we tried to date once and the reasons that we stopped dating before and all that good stuff. I won't go into it because that's private information. But everything that I had waited on because God told me to was worth it, and it was here. And I just had to wait. And that was the biggest lesson I learned in 2023, was just wait. Be patient. God makes a way. God has a path and a story planned for each and every one of us. And waiting on that is not dealing with your problems through alcohol and partying. It's leaning on Him, resting in Him, and being patient throughout the process. So we start talking, dating in October. And the last thing I wanted to point out in this episode is I started writing a lot of new, happier love songs. They were all romantic songs because that's pretty much my forte as far as writing goes, is writing about love and how that affects the male brain and the male heart. I know that's a weird, hyper-emotional way of putting it, but I started writing a lot of new, happier songs, and that's what built the projects to come. The project that I would work on all of 2024 to release at the end of 2024, and then also the project that comes out in 2025, and that's where we're at now. So I will leave this episode off on that suspenseful note, and there's so much more to discuss with my country career and where we're leading up to now. But thank you guys for listening to this episode. Once again, share with your communities on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you see fit. I'm super excited to walk through these memories of my honestly recent past with you guys, and thank you for the support thus far. I'll see you next episode, episode 6. Y'all have a great day.
The devil tried, God forbid I tell another lie. The devil wants my soul tonight, but Lord, don't let him take my life. I've been talking to the